Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Horror Podcast. I'm your host, Jesse, aka Starch, and we're with Justin today, and we're going to be
I'm the second host.
discussing Longlegs, directed by Oz Perkins. We're going to start off with the brief synopsis of the movie, and then we're going to get started with our thoughts and feelings about it. I know it's been a little while since the movie has come out. However, we're just starting the podcast, so we got to get into it a little bit late. Would you like to start off with the synopsis, Justin, or do you want me to run it back?
Here's a quick one, yeah. We have FBI agent Lee Harker is assigned to an unsolved serial killer case that takes an unexpected turn, revealing evidence of the occult. Harker discovers a personal connection to the killer and must stop him before he strikes again.
Period. Okay. So, first of all, this movie gives extreme indie vibes, in my opinion. It's very, it feels a little high quality, not super high budget because there's not a lot of practical effects involved in the movie, and there's not a lot of like scene stealing locations or action. But I will say this movie absolutely stole my heart, even though I saw it extremely late in the theater and arrived probably 15 to 20 minutes late into the film. It was absolutely wonderful, and it was straight vibes. So, what was your instant reaction without giving away any super intense plot details?
Instant reaction. I would say it was definitely a slow burn. I liked it in the end, though. I would say I think it has a good conclusion. Um, like jump scares wise, like I didn't think there was too much. How about you? I think there was a couple that I can think of, but besides that, it was more of just stagnant horror stuff you don't notice until you watch it again and you realize that, oh, these are some devil horns behind her and some shadow. So I like that. I like the that kind of horror.
Yeah, there are a lot of supernatural elements in the movie. I will say the jump scares come more in the form of audio jump scares rather than visual jump
Oh yes,
scares.
yeah.
It's got like a mixture of like a slow creep thriller kind of horror, kind of like Silence of the Lambs, but it also has elements of that like in your face jump scare quality. The first jump scare I encountered that scared the absolute living shit out of me was when the door slams in Harker's apartment. Um,
Yes, yeah. It seems like some like psycho. At first, we don't know if anything's going on that's paranormal, but we do know that she is like what's the right term? Like ESP, or she had like some type of connection that they test her on. I mean, we
oh
find
yes,
out
yes.
about it later, but that's all we get. And we have these scenes where doors are getting closed. We don't know. We see this person, but it's like they're teleporting, like Jason from like uh Friday the 13th. It's kind of weird,
Yeah, there's
especially around her house. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of supernatural elements going on that make it seem like the main character is just tweaking. Also, our protagonist is weird as shit.
He's very strange.
Is absolutely zero social skills whatsoever, which kind of explains itself later. But there's a nice contrast. It's kind of like an anti comedy movie. The
Hmm.
protagonist has got this very stale personality, very strange when it comes to interacting with other people. Doesn't really react to a lot of things or show emotion. And then her partner and the FBI is a very like straight to the point. I drink whiskey after every shift,
Yeah, come
detective
open it
style.
up.
Yeah, that's
You
right.
gotta.
That's right. Yeah, it's very stereotypical on his end for his role, but they play stark contrast to one another. So now that we got the instant reaction section and our kind of feelings about
Mhm.
the movie, we can dive right into spoiling the heck out of it. So if you haven't seen Longlegs, even though you've probably seen 12 other podcasts and movies by this point, go see it first. So we're gonna start diving into how we really felt about the movie and some spoiler points. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna say Nicolas Cage absolutely slaughtering it as Longlegs. Holy shit! Every time he's on screen, every time he's on screen from the beginning of the movie to later on, because they kept mentioning him, they're like Longlegs. He's leaving these letters. I'm like, oh my god, it's the
Mhm.
Zodiac killer. You know, he's like leaving his name. He's leaving like all this shit, and I'm just like, whoa. So if you don't know, the plot of the movie basically centers around this serial killer who is killing families by not being present. They somehow influence the family to kill themselves, and you're like,
It's
oh, how
specifically the
good?
father, right?
Yes, the father. So usually what happens is his dad loses his mind, murders the whole family, and somehow Longlegs leaves a note, but he never leaves any physical evidence. And Nicolas Cage's Longlegs got this really white hair, pale face, long ass nose, really fucking weird dude who's super chill, and then
Bot,
randomly,
bot surgery. Yeah.
yes, we'll just start screaming like 80s metal
Oh,
lyrics.
let me in now. Yeah. That was really
Oh my
funny.
god.
I saw that they were like saying he was like a glam rocker, which is like what David Bowie was, and I guess like that was his whole little inspiration for. having the makeup and botch surgeries.
That actually makes a lot of sense. It's giving post cocaine usage, so I could
Hmm.
totally see like what's going on there. Um, so how do you feel about the investigation side of it? The main character is trying to slowly crawl towards what the mystery is about the killer
Hmm.
and the killings themselves. Like, how do you feel about that aspect of the horror movie?
Um, I liked how they went about it. I would say, let me keep going. She just, I kind of like that scene. It's like a classic movie detective scene where he's like sprout on the floor. She's in there for hours. You don't know how long. And then of course the buddy cop's like, "Why are you still here? Go home." It's kind
Oh
of
yeah.
cliche.
Oh my god.
It's like the scene where I think she looks at a picture or something, and she has this flashback or like this like episode, and we see these snakes and these other like demonic symbols, and we're like, "What is going on here?" It's honestly a jump scare. I think she saw a picture of him or something, and it triggered like a reaction in her, especially with like her psychotic, not psychotic. What do we call these powers? Like
I'm gonna.
psychic, yeah,
I was gonna
something like
refer to it
that.
as the That's So Raven ability. She's getting like, she.
I don't think she got premonitions though. I thought she just got like a hint in the right direction to say.
Okay, that's fair. I guess it's more like a tap on the shoulder from the beyond.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Oh.
Okay, I will say the one thing I do really like about this movie is the balance between cliche and originality.
Yeah. Okay. Uh-huh.
Like you said, so we have one of those earlier scenes where she's brand new to the FBI and she's just
Mm.
she spreads all the pictures out on the floor. She's like, I got to solve this case right now within the next 12 hours, basically. And
And
then
like you said, she's being so weird, such a like loner vibes. Like she doesn't want to help him anybody else. He's
yes,
not even her partner.
yes, and her partner walks in and is just looking at her like she's the weirdest fucking person he's ever seen.
Yeah.
He kind of give her a stank side eye. He's like, oh, you still looking at that? And then we get that important like Chekhov's line or whatever where he's like, there is such thing about looking at it too long. I was like,
Hmm.
okay, I kind of messed that's fair because like I'm an overthinker, so every time I look at something and I overthink it way too much, I usually end up finding the wrong answer instead of the right one. So I did like that he is showing his experience with that. Don't keep staring at it, or random shit won't start making sense to you.
Right. Yeah. I think she still did it though. Like she just kept on
Oh, just
going.
ignored him
But
immediately. Yeah.
we get to the point where like she does she starts hiding information from him because Longlegs when he goes and leaves that letter at her house, like I don't know how he even did that, but he doesn't let him know until like way later I think, and that was just like I didn't expect that from her. But oh no, she said didn't Longlegs say he was gonna kill her mom or something like that, and that's why she did it? Okay, she did have a motive.
Yes, but I honestly found that scene extremely weird too because I'm thinking if I'm living in a fucking log cabin as an FBI agent with like like a law enforcement background and training, if the killer I'm chasing appears on my property, unless I am
Hmm.
prone to seeing visions, which obviously our main character we know she sees random things that don't make quite much sense to us yet. But if the killer is outside my fucking house, the first thing I'm doing is I'm calling back up immediately. She said, well, goddamn, I gotta go investigate this myself. Grabs her glizzy and walks outside and is like, I gotta go handle him. Totally fair, but she didn't call anybody. And then we get that super chilling scene of her turning around on her property and seeing Longlegs walk through her house. And I was scared shitless. I was like, what's going on? Is this how he kills people? Does he like
Hmm.
somehow get in the house Michael Myers style and then start unaliving people? I thought there was gonna be some weird twist. But then we get in there and we find out that he leaves one of his patented Longlegs letters, which is a cipher uh, to all of the cryptic messages he leaves, because he leaves like these symbolic messages that
Right.
explains like some weird biblical context. But yeah, it's basically the key to all of his previous letters. And she goes, and honestly, this is pretty a funny move. She just takes credit for breaking the cipher immediately. The next time she's her partner, she deciphers the letter, and he's like, "How'd you do that?" She's like, "I'm just that
Yes.
bitch, I guess. I'm just."
Yes. I totally forgot that happened, but she just does it, and then he's like, "Oh, I go, oh, nice job, I guess."
Yeah, she's like, "Don't worry about it. I'm just him." Period. And then,
Yeah.
okay, so yeah, I thought when that happened, I was like, "Oh, there's clearly some deeper connection between the killer and Harker."
Right.
Because why is he not killing her? Why is he referencing her family? So there's definitely more at play here. Um, I don't know. What were you thinking at this point? Did you already like figure out what was going on, or were you still like in the dark about like what's happening with this
Oh
killer?
no, see, I don't know why. I was just like assuming like he was like some type of family member, like an uncle that she didn't know about. We don't really know too much about her family besides her mom. Like her dad is just out of the story, and I don't even mention it once. And at first I thought she had multiple siblings, but she just has only one, or her mom at least just has Lee, and it's just this is a weird scenario.
Yeah, it's definitely uncomfortable because shortly after that we get the scene of her calling her mom, and the actress who plays
Oh
her mother
man,
did amazing because all of the
yeah,
phone calls were super chilling and very unsettling. You can tell that there's some fractured relationship between her and her mother that she's trying to repair in her adulthood. She's like, she's just basically providing the bare bones information, like something you would tell your mom right out of high school, and she asks how your day was. She's just like, yeah, work's kind of hard right now. She's like, do you want to talk about it? She's like, no, I deal with like murdered families. I don't think I want to bring that up. And she's like, oh,
right.
okay. Did you say your prayers today? And that's like a recurring motif.
Oh
And she's
God,
like,
yeah.
yeah, mom, I said my prayers today. And you're like, what the fuck
Yeah.
was that? Like, are they both weird? Like, what is going on?
Yes.
Yeah, but you could definitely tell that there's some weird situation going on with her past. I did find it out of her character to not inform her partner about Longlegs appearing in the cabin. I don't know, but to me, it seems like her personality being so like fixated on solving a murder and not interacting with other humans. I figured she'd be the first person to say Longlegs was at my house and left me this weird letter. I don't know. How did you feel?
Well, I guess I think the only reason she didn't do that because Longlegs was like, "I will kill your mom if you let them like anybody know about this."
Okay, so I guess that's I, okay. I could see that happening later, especially what we see in the third act of the movie with her trying to protect certain people and not revealing other aspects of it. So I guess I
Yeah.
could see that. So moving forward, we do get to see some other very interesting death scenes with the family, which I did appreciate in a very cryptic way. Because the whole time you're trying to like, I don't know about you, but every time there's a killer movie, I'm trying to figure out like who did it too. So I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, so he comes in, he's leaving no physical evidence. I'm thinking Longlegs like comes in on some weird shit. Um, like I'm thinking he's calling. I'm thinking he's like a calling killer. Like he keeps like on some Manson stuff because they reference like Charles Manson. I'm thinking he keeps calling dad, and he's like saying this weird shit, getting them all culty. And then
Hmm.
eventually, through being super culty, he convinces so and so to like kill the whole family, and then he's physically present somehow. I didn't really like
Hmm.
figure that out, but I was like, he's got to be there at the scene. And so we see the death scene. The one that sticks out in my head is the axe murder on the white farmhouse. So we see the
Oh
dad
yeah.
talking to some weird ass doll, and you're like, what the fuck is that about? And the mom is tweaking about the doll too, and then bro comes
Yeah.
up, kills the priest with the axe, and then murders his wife who's looking at the doll. And I'm just like, why is this weird doll showing up?
Don't we have like this weird like POV of the doll too? Like during the entire scene, we are the doll looking at this happen.
You know what? Yeah, you're right. That is true too. Not only do we get the POV of the doll, but every time the doll is in frame of the camera in that weird like 70s style like TV image, there's always like this weird demon like black ghost in the doll too, which we don't
Oh, that
understand or
it's
whatever
like
yet.
some yellow eyes, dude.
Oh, those were
Yes,
fucking me up. I was stone cold
I,
sober in the theater, and I was getting so uncomfortable every
dude, I
time.
was like, oh my God, like please, it made me so uncomfortable every time I came on screen.
Yes, I was literally shivering in my timbers. Um, yeah, so we get the doll, and then through investigative bullshit and the progressive of the plot, we find the doll in the attic. Because Longlegs, the cipher, I guess, eventually leads them to finding the doll in the attic underneath the cross, and they find an actual doll, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, our first clue with Longlegs! We got this human porcelain doll." Now, I'm an idiot, by the way. I have to admit,
Hmm.
I'm really stupid. The very first thought I had was like, "Oh my god, the doll's a person. He's turning people into dolls." I don't know why I had
That's
this
funny.
thought, but like when they were at the autopsy table, I was like, "There's a human
Hmm.
inside this doll." So I was completely misunderstanding the scene for most of it.
I would say that okay, they go there because this is like a break. It's not a break in the case, but it's a break in the how it was going. Because didn't the girl survive initially? I don't think she was home or something when the doll actually came in. Because the people who were actually home at that farm when the dog came in were the mom and the dad, and the priest just so happened to come at that time, I think, too. And
Yes.
we see, oh, and we also see, it also calls back to the end of the movie because he sees somebody. He's like, oh. and then he dies, and then the dad kills him. I think it's a really weird scene. I have to go back and look at it again, but I for sure remember that.
Oh yeah, because that's the most crucial one. They find out that there was a sole survivor of Longlegs. Every other family has pretty much been like instantly murdered, wiped out, no survivors. There's no one to talk to you. But they find out the daughter of this family, who is for some reason not present, did survive and is currently residing in a mental hospital. And to my surprise, it was played by the same person that was Sabrina the Teenage Witch. So I was very excited to
Really?
see her. Yes.
Oh,
I believe so. I'm pretty sure it was the same actor at least. And so she's in the hospital, and they went to go talk to her, and they were like, "Oh, she's been catatonic or whatever. She doesn't speak to anybody." But just yesterday, surprisingly enough, she's getting to talk. And by the way, favorite character in the whole movie outside of Nicolas Cage was this was this mental hospital manager or whatever, because
hmm
they're like, "Oh, fantastic! Does your security guard validate IDs and names?" Huh. Nah, we should probably start doing that. I started
yeah,
laughing out loud. I
yeah.
was like, God damn it, of course. Like,
Well, doesn't she like goes and visits her, and she's like, "Oh, I know you from something, right?" And then they leave, and I want to say Longlegs comes and visits her, and then leaves, and they find out that he does this, and they go back and they're like, um, "Who was this person?" And then that scene happens, right? He's like,
yes, he's a huh, yeah, I guess we should have security inside this hospital. So that was a really funny like nod to the time period it seems. Because they just
"Oh
had
yeah,
absolutely zero
so it's so
security.
relaxed. Yes, just anybody can come and go."
Yeah, we just let like this critical patient who watched their entire family get murdered or heard about it at least. We can just let anyone go talk to him. I also love the fact that like Longlegs is the most iconic looking human being ever. So like you're gonna tell me that like none of the staff remember what this fucking dude looks like? Like
Oh yeah,
he
he's
walks
so
in,
recognizable. Like
right?
I don't even he's not even going to like be. It's weird because he's really not trying to hide himself. He never wears a hat. He has like blonde hair. It's really obvious to point this dude out.
Yeah, if I'm the secretary sitting at the front desk and this fucking guy walks in, I'm never forgetting that ever.
Oh,
Like
we
the
have the scene with the girl, right? At the store, he comes to a store, like a hardware store, and
yes,
he's talking to this girl. I mean, he's being so weird. I'm like,
he goes,
what is?
no, you're right. He's like, ha, ha, when is your birthday, dear? And
Oh
she's
my
just like,
God.
Dad, the fucking weird guy's back. And then he
Yes.
just leaves. And I imagine my favorite part of that scene is just the idea of him doing this like every other day.
Oh yeah, yes, yes.
He's buying like creamed corn and like two pieces of bread, and then he just keeps asking weird shit. He's probably like quoting Def Leppard and then leaves. Yeah, so honestly, L part on the FBI for not questioning more of the staff outside of this
hmm
one dude. But then we finally get to the scene where we're interrogating the survivor, or at least at questioning her. And this is the real moment where we start to kind of unravel the mystery of how the killings are taking place and how Harker is responsible. Because we can tell the killer has this weird Hannibal Lecter obsession with Harker because he signs her name in the book. It's her name that was signed as the person who went to go visit the victim or the
hmm
survivor. And
Yeah,
then
right.
the survivor starts spouting this weird cryptic bullshit just like Longlegs, but we start to get a little bit of indication. She's like, "Oh, don't you remember?" And then she's referencing the doll. And then I like this little like this terrifying like small town girl southern response that she's given. She's like, "Well, I would surely just murder you just as happy as peaches if Longlegs told me to do it. A friend of a friend. I would jump off a fucking parking garage head first if he asked me to." And you're like, "Oh, fuck, she's insane." Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so I was expecting like a freaked out survivor who doesn't talk because they like witnessed some shit. Like if you've ever seen, in Stranger Things when you find like Eleven's mom or something, she's like tweaking too. But now
hmm
we get the opposite. She's like fully, she's drinking the goddamn long legs Kool Aid. She's drowning in it, and Harker's like, well, that wasn't any good information. But the audience finds out that there's some actual deep shit going on. Um, and then, of course, the partner's like, "God damn it, magic ain't real. Longlegs is a human being, and the devil is just on paper." He's the classic non-believer in the
Oh
in
yeah,
the
nothing.
story.
Yeah, it's just he's just killing people. There's nothing like else going on with it. That's all he thinks, right?
Yes, and this is about the second or third time in the movie where where this investigator has determined that there's no supernatural play here, because honestly the movie doesn't really indicate such. We get these weird flashbacks that seem more like memories than supernatural occurrences, and for what we know, all of the murders have occurred because someone has actually killed them. We don't see
Mhm.
anybody like fly up in the air and get their neck twisted on some like Annabelle shit. So by this point, you're pretty much convinced that there is no supernatural work at play. But soon that shit turns around. So let's see what happens next. So after we have the interrogation at the hospital, um, what happens after that? What's the context that leads them to figure out
Uh,
what's
I
going on?
think I think she didn't like find the Polaroid of the guy, and he's like, "Oh, this is the killer," and then they arrest him, and then we get the interrogation scene with Lee and Longlegs.
Oh, yes. So for some reason, we get an indication that Longlegs is specifically connected to Harker. Which,
Hmm.
okay, this is another flaw I have in the movie, a little nitpick, is the second they find out that Harker's past is somehow related to Longlegs, the officer, her partner, investigator in the FBI should be like, "Oh my God, we're both going to your house right now." Because he just goes, "Oh, you need to go talk to your mom about some of this odd shit," and then he
Yeah,
just
yeah.
he goes to like sit out, and she goes home. We see the mom for the first time in the movie. The house is completely cluttered. She's a hoarder, and then we get this really cool interaction where you basically find out that she has like consciously wiped her memory to save her daughter from some traumatic event in the past. So now you
Hmm.
know it is that classic moment where the protagonist did have some involvement with the killer. Just based on how the mom's reacting, she's like, "I've been protecting you your whole life. That's why I don't let you leave the house. That's why I have you say your prayers." But then there's this cool moment where she's like, "No, mom, I don't say my prayers anymore." And then she starts laughing in this really sadistic kind of way and is like, "A
Yeah.
prayer." And it is really fucked up because the whole time you think like she's like, a Christian woman who believes in hope. She's like, "Prayers don't save you. That shit isn't real. Life is just suffering and torment." And you're like, "Oh, that's
Yeah, she gets real nihilistic out of nowhere. I was
yeah."
like,
And imagine growing up in that house. I was like, "Oh my God, this is like." And that's why she's so fucking weird, dude. Like, she was that.
see, but when you think like growing up, maybe she's like this her entire life, but like this is like the first time she's like really saying something crazy like that to Lee. He's like really religious before that.
Oh yeah, you're right. But I'm thinking like every day she goes home and her mom's like, not only like, okay, obviously she's not allowed to go to the sleepovers at the other girls' house in elementary school, but I feel like she wasn't allowed to leave the house at all. It was school,
Oh yeah,
home, and then they
that's why
watched.
she was antisocial. Yeah, that's probably what happened exactly.
Like, I just imagine like how terrible their food must have been. Because when she was like, "Mom, I'll cook for you," and she busted out the crock pot, I was like, "That shit is ass." Whatever she's got
Yeah,
in that crock pot has got to be dog shit.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
there's no way it's good. I
No.
This is also making me think now. What was Lee's interview like for the FBI? Like, who thought she would be a perfect match for an investigator? Because she's so weird. Like, she's just sitting there. They're like, "Hey, how you doing? So, what would you say your strengths are as an employee? Why do you think it'd be a good fit for the FBI?" And she would just go, "I like puzzles a lot."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, but sometimes those are like the right people for the job, man. I don't know how to explain it. We were talking about this yesterday about the like, well, like the true detective type of character. You got to
Oh
be
yes.
crazy to do that kind of job.
Yeah, you just got to be insane. But my thing is that Matthew McConaughey at least has a little bit of social consciousness. He's or conscientiousness. He's strange, but he like at least responds in a way where you're like, okay, this guy's just different. She would just
Yeah.
be like, okay, so like tell me about a time you struggled in life and how you overcame it. Like the interviewer, and then she would just go, "One time I got a C on my report card, and my mom locked me in the closet for 16 weeks." And so I decided that if I drew little pictures of stars on the walls, that the time would go by faster. And that's how I overcame that moment. And the interviewer's just looking at her. And they're like, "You know what, God damn it, get this lady a job right now. She needs to stop these killers." Now, honestly,
I mean, as
I,
long as she's doing like, I think they also saw like she had like a natural instinct to solving cases probably, and that also kind of boosted her. So they even like looked past those weird moments in her interviews probably.
you know what, her
Type of,
test scores were probably perfect. Like, there's
yeah,
probably.
also that, yeah.
Okay, so that's fair. So we've established that she's got the job. So yeah, we got mom's a hoarder now. We find out a little bit of context, and then yeah, she does go in her bedroom, her hope chest, and then she discovers these John Wayne Gacy style terrible Polaroids from when she was a kid, because
Yep.
mom's not coughing up any of the information, and then we discover, boom, a picture of Longlegs. So these flashbacks that we've been getting throughout the film have actually been an interaction that she's had with Longlegs when she was a kid. He pulled
Hmm.
up. It was like, "Hello, little girl," and then was asking her all the weird shit. Mom comes out with the blicky, the double barrel booyah, and she's like, "Get the fuck off my property," and she's like, "You know what? I'm gonna blow your shit back." And you think it ends there? At least I did. Initially, you're like, "Oh, okay." So Longlegs interacted with her as a kid, and he's still hyper fixated on her. She's probably that 14th murder victim, or whatever, because
Hmm.
they find the cipher, they find out there's going to be like two more victims, and you're like, oh, Lee, it's gonna be like the 14th, because I keep referencing birthdays and stuff. And you're like, oh, she's like the victim. She's gonna be like the next person to be on the victim list. So that's what you're thinking the third act's gonna be. At least that's what I thought it was gonna be. What did you think by this point? Did you think this was gonna turn out to be this weird twist bullshit that it was, or did you actually, believe something more subtle like I did?
See, like I know it. I'm not sure if he did this every time. So obviously the first scene in the movie is when he goes to go visit her when she's a kid in the daytime. And it's a really spooky scene. It's a really good jump scare. I kind of liked it. It's the title card, right? It's he's like, you see my long legs, and it's really loud. But I think that was one of the best scenes in the movie. But then he also comes back at night. So like you were saying, does that like scene where he's like, get away from my daughter? Does that happen during the day and then he comes back at night?
Yes, I think that's the perception, because he introduces himself and he does that really weird shit, and then she pulls out the glizzy, and this actually is before she pulls the gun. I think you're right. So yeah, so in the daytime she's like, "Get the fuck away from here," and then we get that cryptic message. The mom says, she says, "No one comes to come visit us. Nothing happy, nothing bad, no big bad wolves." So
Hmm.
she knew immediately when that car pulled up, it can only be bad news.
Right.
So at night, she grabs the blam blam, because Longlegs has this specific thing he likes to do, where he likes to stalk the victim through the window before he comes in. And then,
Right.
I'm not gonna lie, my heart sank to my chest, because we had never seen Longlegs do anything by this point. He was kind of like this Darth Vader figure that we've only seen for like 6 minutes on screen.
Right.
But it cuts to that scene where she's got the gun, and then in the next scene, he's tying mom up on the ground like hog tie style, and he's in full psycho killer mode. And I was just like, oh my god, like my stomach was just straight butterflies in the worst way possible. I was like, what is he about to do?
He really got to it. And yeah, like you said, you don't really expect it. It comes out of nowhere.
No, especially because we know, like, usually he convinces someone to kill everyone else, so you're like, why
Right.
is he
Yeah.
doing this weird shit? And then this is where like the full like twist comes in the movie. He's like, I'm going to murder your like little 7-year-old daughter or whatever right in front of you. And mom is like, no, I'll literally do anything. And he's like, oh, perfect. I'm also a servant of fucking Satan. She's
Yeah.
like, if you don't want to give up your daughter, would you like to sell your soul? And she's a nun, but she does it. Ultimate moment
Hmm.
to protect her daughter. She sells the soul, and then we find out the absolutely vile twist of the movie, which is she has to somehow, using weird magic, go and murder all these families. But it's not that she's doing the murdering. You find out that the dolls are actually weird, like hosts, like effigies
They let
almost.
Satan in, basically. That's what I like to think of in the household.
Yeah, so it's like it's almost like a vampire. You have to invite them in. So the devil is encompassed in this doll, and the doll is usually like a replica of the victim or the
Yeah, use
daughter.
the daughter. Yeah.
Yes, and so they let him in, and so basically, mom has been bringing the devil into people's homes, disguised as a nun, and then the doll whispers into the ear of the family and gets them to murder every single person in the room. And by this point in the movie, I'm absolutely shitting myself, because I'm like, what is going on? I didn't really understand it at first, but how were you feeling when we got to this point of the twist?
See, I didn't know that it was working so fast. Like, I thought it was more of it eats away at like the father's like I don't know mental capabilities, and then he does the act. It's more like it happens
Oh well,
immediately.
yeah,
It's
within like 30 seconds.
so that was definitely a twist for me. Um, Trying to see what else would happen. Yeah, so he's just like he's making these dolls in the heads. He's making this steel ball with some energy, and this is what's letting him come into the house. And it's really strange how they do it because it's like the doll looks like the daughter, but it's taking over the father. It's really strange.
Yes, it seems like in some capacity it kind of like preys on certain aspects of a person's personality in order to get them to commit like vile, heinous acts. Um, I will say that by this point in the movie, I didn't know how to feel about it, because they made it seem like it was going to be a supernatural connected movie, but that happens in the real world. You don't necessarily see any like magic take place, but it's referenced. So I thought it would be like one of those things where the killer murders people, but because they think magic is real or they believe in like the devil and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was like, oh no, there's literally magic. Like when mom pulls the double barrel shotgun. Oh, I guess that's skipping ahead. But when she blows the head off of the daughter's of Harker's doll and like the black
Mhm.
mist comes out of her head, I was like, oh no, we're fully deep diving into some supernatural level nonsense. But I was kind of here for it, honestly.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, this is pretty dope. So you find out Longlegs is not necessarily like he's kind of like the Sauron of the movie. He doesn't do any of the killing. He just he uses his lackey, which is Harker's mom, to pretty much invite anybody. But the most fucked up thing about this curse is not only does she have to kill all these families to keep her daughter alive, but she has to watch. So like part of the condition of her agreement is she has to watch the families get murdered. So the perspective that you're seeing from the doll of all these families getting murdered isn't just the doll; it's actually Harker's mom standing there watching the families rip each other to pieces and get murdered.
Yes.
Which totally explains her weird personality and why she like has no faith and why she's deleted all the memories from her mind is because she has basically watched like family after family get murdered for years. Um,
It makes me wonder if she's doing this like every 14th like day of the month. You know what I mean?
oh, you know what? You're totally right. Well, it's based on birthday, right? So yeah, I get. Oh gosh, yeah. So she's been doing this for so long with absolutely zero connection to it. So she's just got like full Stockholm syndrome, huh?
No, yeah. I mean, he's living in their basement. We find
Oh
out.
my gosh, no, that is the best twist of the movie, finding out that Longlegs' lair has actually been Harker's house for the entire movie. You're
Yeah.
like, that was so dope. It's like, huh. So when she was upstairs making boiled water for her mom, Longlegs was probably down there, like on some weird shit. Um,
I mean, yeah, and she has memories of like being down there with him, and it's just I guess they got wiped or something once her doll is like in place, or I'm not sure how that works. Like the devil is like like holding back some memories from her.
I think it was kind of like the mom, where just like the memories were so horrendous that she just kind of wiped them from her conscious memory. Um,
Uh,
so, and by this point, I was like, this is super cool. I will say that the movie did do a good job of indicating magic was a little bit real earlier on in the film. When the medical examiner opens the first doll and finds the metal ball, he's like, for some reason, I kept hearing it whisper my ex wife's name. And I don't know if that's a joke or not, but if it isn't a joke, that kind of indicates that, like, the doll's magic has a specific effect on whoever's present to make them angry, because that makes sense,
mhm.
right? Like someone's ex-wife or the idea of them would probably make them mad, and we know that the
Right.
father is usually the one who gets influenced or gets angry enough to murder the whole family. So I guess you get a little bit of an indication of how it works. It just kind of whispers like thoughts to piss you off in your head, and it makes you kill your whole family.
Man, I mean, it's pretty crazy to think about. I can't think of like any other comparisons I've seen before like that.
Yes, that was very original. Now I'm curious. So what would your whisper sound like when the doll sits next to you and you're like in your house? Like what is it whispering to you to make you so mad you're gonna like murder
Oh
the
man,
entire
I don't
family?
even know if like if I start hearing like centipedes, or if I start hearing like I don't even know, man. Just some any voice that's in my head that's not mine will start making me mad anyway. So I'll go crazy just off that.
I think pet peeves would definitely get me for sure. Just like
Oh,
whispering shit like your car's only got 2 minutes of gas left in it, and you're like, you have work in 20 minutes. You don't have time to get gas. I'd be like, oh fuck. Or what else would get me? Uh,
need your oil change. I think your oil has to be
oh
changed.
my god, your oil has to be changed, and you don't have money to do it. Another one that would get me is a somebody cooked cheese in a frying pan, like made a grilled cheese, but then didn't clean it out afterwards, so now all the gunk is stuck to the pan. Like just stuff like that. I'd be like, you know what, it's time. I gotta lock in. Gotta kill everybody. Yeah, minor inconveniences would sure send me over the edge. It wouldn't be hard either.
Oh yeah, that'd probably be the best for us. There's nothing like crazy, like oh my God, like you killed your sister 2 years ago. Don't forget.
Oh yeah, like they'd be like, oh, like she's cheating on you. I'd be like, oh man, stop all that tweaking. But the second they start talking about, there's a 14 used cups sitting on the counter that no one's washed in 2 weeks. I'm locked in. Like,
Oh
he's,
yeah,
he's got
bro.
me.
They just start bringing up insecurities you had in high school. It's like, all
Oh,
right, now you bring that up.
he's like, remember that time you had acne and everyone laughed at you? You're like, oh god damn it, he's on to me.
Oh goddamn, bro, stop, man. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah, so I think I think that's a pretty effective way of establishing how the magic works. So then we get the scene where Harker finds out some shit's going on. She grabs the other lady from the FBI. Oh no, we got the interrogation scene, probably one of the most iconic scenes in the movie. Yeah, so we're sitting
Mhm.
there. We've arrested Longlegs, which is funny. I like Nicolas Cage's acting here. He kind of does like a little wiggle and puts his hand up after dropping his suitcase. I'm trying to
Yeah.
figure out how back then they found this motherfucker at this random bus stop. Like that was some absolutely stellar geographical
So
identification of the killer's whereabouts.
so they had to have been just like if it's back then, they had to have been going around showing people his picture, and someone was like, "Oh, I just saw him. He's walking this way," stuff like that. So that's there's none. They don't really say how. You're right. They just kind of just do it. They just pull up on him.
Yeah, there's like 12 squad cars. He's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, this is random bus stop.
So yeah, so we get the video interrogation where he does the classic killer scene where he's like, "I'm only gonna speak to the Batman, nobody else."
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And then Harker is sitting there freaking out, and the FBI, very valid by this point. The fact that no one else considered this is beyond me. But they're like, yeah, you might be a little bit too close to this, considering you were one of his initial victims, like 12 years ago. And she's like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll go see what he has to say now. And then
Hmm.
he does his best his best like semi Joker, semi Hannibal Lecter impression with his own cool twist on it, where he's like, he hears a bunch of cryptic bullshit,
Hmm.
thank you for doing whatever, and then he fucking slams his face on the table and kills himself in the most vile way possible. And
Yeah.
the camera
So
doesn't cut away. You're just seeing him smash his face all over the table.
I don't know how somebody can have like the bodily will to do that. I mean, we could say that somebody was influencing him, like the man down under the stairs, is that what they call him, is influencing him like to do this. But that is some sheer willpower and just you're just pure love of the man downstairs that makes you do that. And he is like a true follower. It's really disturbing.
Yes, it seems like all of the characters, including the mental health patient, who you find out, by the way, jumped off that parking garage that they were talking about, unfortunately.
Yes.
It seems like they all have this like infatuation with the devil, and that in some way for them it's going to be paradise once they die. So yeah, he does a Hail Hydra moment, and he takes himself out, so that way the main character can't get any more context from him, because he says he's like, his mission's over. And by this point, the theory is that he is an accomplice. Harker has discovered through whatever logic she applies that there's got to be an accomplice, someone that is in the house who's doing the murders, and we don't know yet that it's mom. So we go, okay, we got to rush home and ask my mom what's up. So the other lady FBI agent is like, boom, let's go. We gonna pull up. I'm gonna help you talk to
Hmm.
your mom. You're gonna bring her in for questioning. I'm here if you need me for moral support. They get to the house. They're in the car, and then this is another nitpick I have, because I wouldn't have done this if I'm sitting there, right? I'm strapped up. Longlegs just unalived himself. We gonna question my mom or this person's mom who's involved. I'm suspicious. I'm suspended. There's 3 other officers with me, but if it's just me, I'm not, oh my gosh, okay, go talk to her. Let me know how it is. I'm thinking she's the killer by this point. I don't know what's going
Okay.
on. I'm coming in that goddamn house too. Listen,
That's
because,
a good nitpick actually, because like, why would you just sit in the car while your your other agent
right,
just goes up to the door?
right, especially because she's a suspect in a murder investigation, a serial murder investigation. So I need to hear everything this lady's saying. I get it. It's your mom, bro. It's tough. Like, maybe I'm not gonna speak when I get in there, but I don't know. I feel like I gotta back you up. There's some shadiness going on. So you're sitting in the car. Harker goes to see her mom. Mom isn't in the house for some reason, and then we get this absolutely horrifying scene where mom cuts the corner with the double barrel shotgun and blows her head clean off through the other side of the window, walks around
Yes.
the car, and then shoots her again. And you're like, oh my god, what's going on right now? And it was just as the agent notices, I think, Longlegs' whip parked in the garage.
Hmm. Yes. Oh, that was a good. Yeah, good callback. Because
Yeah,
I think she hears the shot. I'm not sure if she hears the shot and goes and looks, or just so happen to be looking at her, and it happens at the same time.
yeah, I think the first shot, because I think it makes her pull her gun out or whatever. The first shot she hears, she goes to the window and then sees mom swing around the side and blow her head off.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
So
Okay. Yeah.
she's locked in, she's ready. She's like, "What's going on?" Finds mom. Mom pulls out the doll, and by this point, you're still a little confused. You don't have all the pieces yet. Mom shoots the doll's head off and basically does like an exposition dump of what's going on. Longlegs pulled up. We get the flashback scene of Longlegs tying up mom, and then we find out that mom's been the accomplice the whole time. And then we keep remembering, we keep getting alluded to. There's a birthday that Harker has to go to. She has to go to her coworker's daughter's birthday party, and the whole time I was stressing about this because I knew the daughter was going to be the final victim. I knew
Well, it
this.
was excellent foreshadowing because when she goes to go visit him and his daughter and his wife, she's like, "Oh, can she go to my birthday party?" And
Yes,
for
oh
some
my
reason,
gosh.
this girl is weird because why does she like Lee? Like Lee is so awkward when she's talking to her, and like one of the scenes, I'm like, "What is going on?"
You
And
know,
then she's like, "Oh, can she come?" Like what?
I kind of get it. Okay, because you know how kids are weird as hell. Like they'll just walk up to you and they'll be like, "Have you ever noticed that spiders look like they taste good?" And they'll just run
Yeah,
away.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like I think Lee's got that same like weird childhood honesty where she just speaks. Because like normally if she's like, "Hey, do you like my room?" All this stuff. Normal adults
Oh
like, "Oh
yeah.
my gosh, it's so pretty. You're a princess."
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Bullshit
True.
like
Okay.
that. But Lee is just fully honest. She's like, "Yeah, it's nice. Hey, what's that thing over there?" She's just
Yeah.
weird like a kid is. So
Yeah.
I think that was a vibe. I get it. So yeah, so she's like, oh my gosh, okay. So she's like, my partner's
And she
birthday
wakes
party's
up
today.
in the basement, right? And because she gets knocked out after her mom shoots the doll,
Yes,
she loses consciousness. Like wakes up in the basement, like, and she gets that mysterious phone call. And I think it's something like, you can correct me if I'm wrong. It's like, oh, don't be late or you're late, or something like that, alluding to the birthday party. And she realizes, and then, like you said, she starts rushing
right.
over.
Yeah, and then this scene got me because she's like, boom, gun is out. Another nitpick I have, by the way, and we'll get to this. We'll get to this a little bit later. But another little like angry thing. Why is no one else at this birthday party? You, this Who
Oh,
else is supposed to show up? That y'all don't got like the aunties didn't show up, uncles, grandparents, no friends. Like did the so okay like for technicality reasons. So did did the devil like call everyone like 15 minutes before the party because everybody was late and be like, hey, it's canceled, we'll try again next week? And they're like, oh man, okay. And then they did this whole setup because when she gets there, she's got her gun out, right? And she gets to the door,
hmm.
she's like, she's like on alert, she's like, boom, it's going down. And then you already know some shit's wrong because no one is noticing that she like Harker is on 10. They're just like, hey, come in,
Yep.
welcome. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh god. She sits there, mom's present, she's got the devil doll, the family's sitting there, the daughter is staring into the abyss. Like it's already going down, and then we get this weird like horror comedy, like the kind of like intertwinedness going on because the dialogue is just super fucked up, but the tone of everyone is just straight and happy. Mom like mom is like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah, I see. Yeah.
she's like, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go in the kitchen, and the dad's like, you ain't gonna be right back, and then
Oh man, that was just so weird.
yes, you're like, oh my gosh, and then
Fair
it
enough.
And then I don't know what the fuck Harker's doing or what law enforcement school she went to, but she knows that there's gonna be a murder. They get up and walk to the kitchen, and he goes, "I'm going to kill my wife now." And Harker's just posted up, like I guess she's in shock or something. She's like, "No, please," but she takes no action. I don't know, man. Like
Yeah,
he,
we just hear those bludgeoning or stabbing sounds in
it
the
was
kitchen.
terrible.
Like,
It was
yeah,
so visceral too. It wasn't like comedic or like super over the top. It was like this visceral murder sound that you
yeah,
hear.
brutal. Yeah. Oh,
And he gets back, and she's obviously super dead. And then Harker, now she's like, okay, this is messed up. But it's not until Dad's about to kill the daughter that she pulls the gun out, and she's like, no, we're not doing this.
yeah,
This can't
get to that.
happen. Yeah. So she shoots her partner, kills him, and then mom starts freaking out. And she's like, "Nah, we got to complete the ritual, otherwise we're gonna be incinerated for eternity in hell." And then mom gets up, and we get the iconic shot of Harker shooting her mom smack
Yeah,
dab
she
in the
pulls up this
forehead.
dagger from her like sleeve.
Oh yeah, it was so dramatic too. Like that was a dagger. That wasn't no pocket knife. She pulled out
Yes.
like the Antichrist murder or something, and then bam, Harker shoots her, and then saves the daughter, and then we pretty much get to wrap at the end of the movie with Harker saving the daughter, and I'm just like that was a wild ride. That was a wild ride. So. First and foremost, how did you feel about the ending, the twist in general, and the fact that it was a more of a supernatural happenings instead of just like this natural, regular
I think I
citizens
prefer
report?
supernatural over regular happening. I know regular happenings can feel definitely more real because obviously can actually happen, but the supernatural, I love the twist. I love how like the man downstairs has an influence. We like I was saying before, we see him through like the eyes of the dolls, and we see him in like that shadowy forms. I think once in a library, once like in like the house or something like that with his horns. His presence is very imposing, and that's like one of the best parts of the movie, I think. The ending, otherwise, I liked it. I had no problem with it. Well, after she shoots the mom, I guess it's like I kind of wanted some more to happen, but it kind of just ends there. That's fine. But the things I've seen most about the movie online is of how it seems like it's like the man downstairs just wanted to get to that point where she just shoots her mom for like the ultimate. It seems like he's doing this out of fun,
Oh,
right?
yeah, I didn't even
He's just
think
having a
about
great
that.
time.
Yeah, that's interesting. I never even considered that because it's like this all putrid influence in this vile creation, and if the devil's entire methodology or reason for working is just to pervert the innocent in the worst way possible, I guess that would be the grand perversion of like this Christian or Catholic woman is to make her murder all these families and watch, and then at the
Right.
very end get murdered by her own daughter. That's like the worst like
The
conceivable
worst
fate. Yeah,
thing.
I didn't
Yeah.
even consider that. I guess that adds a new light to the movie and provides a little bit more of a compelling
Playing
reason
the
to
long
rate
game.
it high. Yeah, I do actually. I like that. Yeah, that makes the most sense. Yeah, and that's even more fucked up because when you think about it in that way, like the devil wins at the very end because Harker has to watch all these things happen, find out that she's connected to it, and then kill her own mother. So yeah, there it's kind of like a. It's kind of like the movie Seven with Brad Pitt, where it's like they're chasing the killer the whole time, but the killer still wins in the end.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's actually pretty iconic. Yeah, I like that observation of it. I will say I was sitting in the car and I was talking.
On the way home.
Yeah, I was talking to Kayla about how she felt about it because we went to go see it together, and we were trying to like figure out alternative ways the movie could end without having like a supernatural twist to it. But it's like nah, if like the killer's coming in and killing people with no physical evidence, there's not really like a like there's obviously ways to pull it off, but not something that's like believable. So I am down for the magic. I would my little critique here is I would like a little bit more influences of like potential supernatural happenings, maybe some like more droplets here and there, just so I was like a little bit more like ready for it, not as shocked when it
Hmm.
actually happens. But yeah, I was totally down for it. So I guess what were your favorite parts of the movie, like favorite scenes? Because there's a lot of cinematography in this movie. This movie is shot
Oh,
beautifully.
amazing! Yes, I loved how it was shot. I would say I really love the whiteness of the snow in the first scene. It really made everything stand out. Like Lee in her like jeans and her like red jacket.
Yes.
And but I think White will like not White legs. Longlegs is wearing white clothes, and there's like even a scene where you look at her, he's looking at the car and he's gone, and there's another scene where he's just like sitting right behind her, but you wouldn't notice if you weren't looking like behind her just a bit. It's really ominous, but you can't see him because he's wearing white clothes. So
Yes.
I thought that looked really nice. I love how this the first shot, the first movie of the scene. Okay, the first shot of the movie was that, yeah.
I do actually appreciate that too. It's also like some stark contrast because typically you'd believe someone who's like obsessed with the devil would wear like all black
Yeah,
and like this
dark
very gothy,
clothes.
but it's like pitch pure white, and also I don't know if this was like an allegory, but like the pure whiteness on him, and also like the snow could be like a representation of hell being like a very cold place, not like a
Oh yeah.
fiery place, and also there's that connection there of like white being the color of purity, and it's also like a form of that perverted sense of it. I also like that there are human elements, like some psychological influences that real humans would have that aren't supernatural. Like Longlegs' crib is nasty. Like he sleeps on a mattress with no sheets on the ground, and he's got like posters hanging up. Like he's weird, bro. Like it's not just like he's got a fucking like bat cave or like some weird sex dungeon. He's living in a basement in the weirdest serial killer way possible, and he doesn't wash his clothes. He probably smells terrible.
Oh, he's not just god awful. It's really strange how he is, and he has one of those. Then he have one of those. I can't explain how it is. It's imagine those mirrors with the lights around them with the bulbs that people used to get ready. I think he had
Oh,
one of those in the
like old
basement.
dressing rooms.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes. it was kind of like this weird play, and it was strange that he was a doll maker too.
Hmm.
I won't be surprised if like a Longlegs origin story comes out, like of how he got like
I
originally.
need some more lore. Yeah, I love
Some
lore.
Longlegs lore would be pretty interesting. I love Nicolas Cage's performance. I think movies need to get this like a little bit more through their head. When you have a killer like this, the less time on screen that they
Less is
have,
more.
less is more. Yeah, like it's scarier that way. Like my favorite scene in the movie is the interrogation scene where he smashes his face because you get like just enough of him to be scared. He does something super vile, and the performances are great. It's just like these very in your face shots of both characters just speaking to each other. It's just straight vibes. So that was my favorite scene in the movie. Um, so I guess now we can move on to our overall critiques about the film. What did you dislike? Because I know I touched on some of them. So what are the things that you found a little bit like not so much in your favor?
Well, like I said, I did like the slow burn parts, but of course, like it had the positive and negative of slow burn. Where I think there was a midsection when they was going a little slow. We were just like going here and here trying to figure it out, but the ending is very rapid, and of course that's what makes me like the movie. But yeah, besides that, and maybe the not really having a main that we have the main character, but her personality is just not there. Obviously, there's a reason that she's like this, but there is just she's a blank board. There's nothing going on. She's not starting conversations. She's only being talked to.
Yes, yes, that is true.
But
There,
I think the actress does a good job of playing her role in that part. But yeah,
yeah, that's fair. There's not a lot of relatable characters in this movie, and it seems like a small town or like a random suburb that no one would ever remember.
they
So
were in Oregon, if I'm right, if I'm correct.
okay, that makes sense. Yeah, it does seem it's kind of hard to relate to a lot of the characters because we've got this very jaded archetype of an investigator who's her partner, and that's not easy to relate to unless you're like a '60s detective with in like in like the LA noir era.
Hmm.
And then obviously the protagonist has no social ability, so there really isn't anyone you can relate to so much. Maybe you can. I was relating to some Harker moments because I feel like I get really awkward sometimes when I'm speaking to people, so that was nice. So I would have
Hmm.
actually appreciated more scenes of them talking to witnesses or just people that have seen him, and just like her just being super awkward. That would have been a little nicer.
Oh, yes, yes, that'd be kind of funny.
Yeah, I did enjoy like that slow burn aspect of the film. It kind of slowly crawling to the reveal of the mystery. But I definitely would have gotten down with some more murder scenes.
Yeah, I
Uh,
would say so too.
you get some more like maybe some POV shots of the family killing each other. Just some really grittiness because I loved that final scene where her partner kills his wife and you just hear the audio that was like
Hmm.
terrifying. So I would definitely would have appreciated just a little bit more of some of the perspective of the victims. Um, Outside of that, my other nitpick was I know I touched on the supernatural stuff, but just kind of like the overall decision making of some of the characters. I know it's easy to nitpick that in horror movies, but just as the investigator, some of the choices they made were a
Well, no,
bit
you gave a really good
strange.
example with like her just staying in the car and her like the main character going to the door. Like that was a very like criticism to me at least. I
Yeah.
didn't even think about that until you mentioned it.
Yeah, I could see like the psychology behind that. Like I said, it's their mother. They're super close. You just want them to get that personal stuff going out the way. But
Hmm.
I'm a little surprised that like the task force that to catch the serial killer was comprised of two
Like two
people.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it would have been, you know what I mean? It would have been like I feel like it would have been two detectives, a couple
Yes.
people at like
Oh,
HQ.
as we'll see in Trap soon.
Oh my God! Yeah, we're gonna be discussing Trap in a later episode, but no, absolutely. Yeah, but it's just like I was just expecting a little bit more manpower for
Oh,
this serial
yeah.
killer, especially a serial killer of this magnitude too. It's not like the serial killer is
Exactly.
killing and okay, like I'm thinking about this from like a managerial standpoint, like as an investigator, right? So if you're hunting a killer and they're killing like one person that like on their way home at night by themselves, or like a hitchhiker,
Hmm.
that's different. But you find out that someone is murdering an entire family by themselves and leaving no physical evidence. That's all hands on deck. We got to figure out what's going on here. We got
I'm saying
murdered
we are not
children.
sending two people.
No, no. I mean, yeah, like I don't know, man. I feel like local police had zero involvement with this
Yeah,
at
no,
all.
they weren't even there.
Yeah, but so overall, that was a bit interesting, especially because we had a character eventually go, "You're way too close to the case. He's in the room right now." I think they might have even referenced how difficult it would be to prosecute him because like they have no evidence of that person being at the scene. Oh, but they
Right.
did get it was like that last letter or something or his confession because he did start saying some stuff. They were like, "Yeah, he'll do like life in prison or something." But yeah, that whole situation was crazy. I do wonder what Harker's next day looks like. I guess we can get to that in a different segment. But yeah, so is there any more critiques you have about the movie?
I think I'm all right. We can move on to the next segment.
Yeah, okay. So I guess after that we can go on like how we feel the movie continues. Like, what does a sequel look like, or even the next 15 minutes? Like, what does Harker do immediately after?
See, we leave off of she just pointing the gun at the girl's doll, right? Is that the last scene?
Yeah, she tries to. That's a very interesting scene that you mentioned. I forgot about that. She tries to shoot the doll like her mom did because she was broken from the curse when her mom shot the doll after the murder. So she tries to shoot the doll too, to try to like open it up. So I don't know if the influence is still impacting the daughter. It's a good question. So does she end up like that first girl in the mental hospital that's just like forever like attached to the devil? Like her soul is now.
Well, see, I think she was like that because her doll was still alive. Well, it was just like it was hidden away. Yeah, it's weird. Because
Yeah,
also, are all the dolls just hidden away? Like, what happened there? You know what I mean?
that's a good question. So I guess we can speculate now. So I think the how you break the curse, it seems like you have to kill someone and to trade for the person the doll is currently taken over. So her mom kills the agent and then is able to shoot her daughter's doll to release her from the devil's grip. So Harker kills her partner and then tries to shoot the doll but can't. And we know that since that girl in the mental hospital's doll was hidden away, that was Longlegs' way to lead them to the killer. So he keeps the doll hidden so that way that girl is always under the spell of the devil
Hmm.
until she takes her own life. So my theory here is since she couldn't shoot the doll, her partner's daughter is now like is still under the devil's grip. So she has to find a way to break this ball, and it's made of steel. So like they really gotta. Oh my gosh, Justin, you're a genius. It
Hmm.
just occurred to me right now. Remember they it was a line in passing you didn't even think about. Remember after they went to go visit the girl, the medical examiner and the partner says they opened the ball up and there's nothing in it.
Hmm.
I wonder if because they like opened the ball. No, that doesn't make sense either. I was gonna say I wonder if they like opened the ball and that's what made the daughter, the mental patient jump off the
Yeah,
parking garage.
I thought about that too, and I wasn't sure. I had that thought.
Yeah, I don't know. But the doll shit is kind of weird. But I imagine the next day Harker has a lot of explaining to do.
I
She's kid.
yes, 'cause she has to. Well, how would you even explain that?
You can't. I think the best, honestly, the best course of action for her. Oh no, but she's gonna be wanted by the FBI. That's gonna be so tough. Um,
Well, I think she definitely has like the knife or the hammer, whatever the dad uses to kill his wife. That has all his prints on it,
yeah,
right?
honestly, there's a
It,
coin flip here.
there's very clear evidence that he actually did that to his wife, and Harker can just be like, "Oh, well, this is like the best case scenario for Harker, of course, right? I had to shoot him because he was coming at me, or he's about to harm his daughter."
So,
But the
okay,
mom thing, that's harder to well, yeah.
man. So, oh gosh. So, what do you do in this scenario? If you're Harker, are you calling it in immediately and having them investigate the scene, arrest you, take you in for questioning, and then just hope that they like don't charge you with I don't know,
Yeah,
like
so
a
like
triple
I
homicide?
I have a child with me. We have this like this like 9, 10 year old girl. We gotta call the cops. I don't know what she's doing. Like I feel like her character will do that. I'm not sure we have like a sequel in mind. If we do, it'd probably be maybe another like satanic worshiper that's not long legs. We get short arms next time, but
Short. Okay, gotcha.
yeah.
That's funny. No, I think so. You're calling it in. I'm thinking so, man, because I'm thinking about this right. Like I have to admit, be like, yeah, low key. So it turns out the killer that smashed their face in front of me was actually living in my basement my whole life, and I never noticed. And then my mom is actually the one getting people to die. That would be hard to be like, because the first question I ask if I'm interrogating Harker is, "What do you mean you had no idea your
Yeah.
entire life?" And all of a sudden your partner, the only other person on the case, is dead. I don't know. It's looking tough, honestly, for Harker. But Yeah, I
Yeah,
guess
both
like
the people, because like I think the higher female agent that died at Harker's house was above her partner, right?
yes, I think she's like their boss. So I'm thinking
Yeah,
like the investigators get there, right? They're like, okay, you shot your partner, you shot your mom, the wife is dead in the kitchen, you got the daughter next to you. There's your boss is dead at your house. The killer's been living in your bed. It's looking crazy. I'm
it's
not
looking
gonna lie.
insane.
Yeah,
It's looking insane.
you're gonna have to hire the best defense attorney in the United States. This is gonna be like a national case, televised and everything. But yeah, honestly, I think my dumbass would call it in too. Like the more I think about it, the more it doesn't sound like the right option. But yeah, I think I'm calling it in. I'm gonna, I'm just gonna hope for the best, and I'm not saying shit about magic. You best believe I'm not saying a word about magic. I'm gonna be
See,
like, yeah, my mom, because she's on some cult stuff, came over, started like I got here, boom, my partner, I don't know if she's been working with my mom, I don't know what's happening, but it turns out they've been working together. Longlegs have been living in the basement. My mom kept it a secret from me. I found the Polaroid. I got here. He killed his wife, tried to kill his daughter. I shot him. My mom got up, had to put her down too. Um, yeah,
I mean, that would be the best case scenario to explain everything, but at the same time, they're gonna be like, um, so you throw it in now.
yeah, no, that's gonna be the hardest thing.
But you
So
throw it in now.
okay, yeah. So I guess you and I are doing are doing 45 to life after we get arrested for the
There's no
murder of.
way I can just run after that. Like I feel like it makes you like 100 times worse.
I know it does make it worse, and they're for sure gonna let you're gonna be wanted forever. But it's like what are the odds of them believing you?
Well, Lee's life is pretty much over. I mean, she has like no other connections. Like,
That's what I was. That's another thing too. It's not like you can call someone and be like, "I need you to vouch for me." She's weird, bro. Like everybody's probably like, "Oh, that makes sense." Yeah. One time I saw
yeah,
her.
exactly.
One time I saw her drinking bean juice. Yeah, she was just drinking bean juice right out the can, man. I don't know. She's definitely the killer. Yeah, so she's kind of cooked. Yeah, so I guess we've decided that we're going to prison forever. Let's see. Anything else we want to discuss about about the happenings? We got that. I guess we can. Is there anybody else you would have liked to see in the movie, like any
More or
other
less.
characters? Yeah.
Um, hmm. Ooh, maybe some more creepy mom moments. I would appreciate some more of that. The
Some more
ones we got
movie.
were they were creepy. So
Yes.
they were just so cryptic. It's just how she was. I don't know. It's just heebie-jeebies. But yeah, more of that. I would have been happy with that.
Yeah, that'd have been nice. Okay, so I guess what do you want to give the movie out of whatever score? Do you want to do a 5 scale? Or you want to do a 10 scale? I guess we'll use this to establish the rest of our lives, but
I think I'm fine with the 10 scale. I have another movie in mind that we're gonna review soon. And I think I have to put Longlegs under that.
okay. So
I
you want to do
I
out of
want to
10?
say I
Gotcha.
want to do out of 10. I want to say I'll give Longlegs a 7.5 on the meter.
Oh, wow, my God. Okay, so you're getting critical. See, honestly, I love horror movies, and I think originality is something I really enjoy. And it's might be recency bias, but I did kind of see the movie after the hype. I'm just rambling right now. I think I'm
Hmm.
gonna give the movie. If 10 is the best movie I've ever seen for like horror, I'm gonna give this movie a strong 8.5.
Okay.
Yeah, 8.5. Yeah, I just the supernatural element of it, which is really nice and makes the twist of the movie, I just didn't see coming early enough for me to buy into it as much.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm gonna give the movie a strong 8.5. Man,
Okay.
look at
I
us.
just wanted to see some more horror. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, I would
Maybe
have
that's
enjoyed that too, but it's just how the movie is shot. But yeah, I think we're on the same page with that.
yeah. Okay.
Okay, so that concludes our overview, our podcast episodes for the movie Longlegs. Don't forget to go check it out. And thank you guys. Next up, we're going to be talking about the recently critically acclaimed, I have no idea if it was or not, horror movie Alien Romulus. And woo! All right, so we'll see you guys in that episode. Thank you. Don't forget to follow us and like, comment, and all that stuff. See you next time.
Subscribe.
Boom.
Bye.
All right.